It is another green Monday in the crypto markets. Bitcoin has pushed past 67K. ETH is right around 3,600. Alts are lagging a little bit. We're seeing in TradFi, tech having a good day. NVDA, Jesus Christ, up 51 a share. I haven't even been looking after I sold a lot of it. That makes me want to throw up. Coinbase having a solid day as you'd expect. We'll be discussing that and much more today on Money Never Sleeps. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice unless it's good advice, in which case give us all the credit in the world. But if it's bad advice, we will accept none of the blame. Seriously, though, do your own research for making any buys or sells. Chris, happy Monday. Good to see you, my friend. I'm excited for today's show. I think we're going to have a little bit of fun. We got the markets are absolutely pumping at the moment. Bitcoin, starting the week off very, very strong, up from 63K to 67K in the matter of a few hours. Alts are starting to lag behind a little bit. Maybe they'll catch up. Maybe they won't anytime soon. Only time will tell. Kev, as our resident bear who has been sidelined when it comes to crypto, except for trying to short things on occasion, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling the best I have in this entire stupid mania since October. I will say that, right? And again, that's probably because I do have exposure to the market, but everything's long term. And the things that I'm exposed to are showing cracks in the system. So right now, while everyone's very concerned with what's happening with Bitcoin, with the equity market, I am just saying I think this is the week to let the mania kind of run through the system, let it get it out of its system, because we do know that next week is arguably one of the most important weeks, and a lot of people don't necessarily understand why. And the conditions are just perfect for there to be some headwinds. I'm not saying it's going to crash or anything like that, but I'm saying that the conditions next week, a lot of things are going to be a lot easier for things to be more problematic and kind of bleed into the equity market. We got the bank term funding program on Monday. It's game over for that. Loans are going to be starting to come due. I think March 14th is also the date that we are going to see the corporate buyback window blackout. So you're not going to see any more stocks being bought back by these corporations. And we also get OPEX. So it's a wonderful week next week. It would the market not rally in the last week of the bank term funding program? I would be an idiot to think it wouldn't.
Man, I don't know. You understand this stuff way better than I do, so I'm just trying to not get myself confused here is what I am doing. I want to talk about this rally a little bit in crypto, but first, let's kind of discuss what is coming up this week in the TradFi markets. We're a couple weeks away from the next Fed decision, so we have that on the radar. Not a whole lot. Earnings season is pretty much past us. We do have a good amount of employment data this week, so we'll get non-farm payrolls on Friday, some productivity and jobless claims numbers on Thursday. We are getting JPOW speaking in front of Congress on Wednesday and Thursday, so that is going to move some markets as well. I would have to think. I'm sure they're going to talk about crypto, and Elizabeth Warren, when it's her turn in the Senate, is going to bitch and moan about crypto and why it's being regulated because it's so terrible for you, when you should really just be trusting the banks because they always have your best interest in mind, Kevin. The banks always have your interest at heart. That's all they care about is you, the consumer, and they're not greedy at all.
I will say this, Elizabeth Warren, AOC have been kind of my sweeties lately. Maxine Waters too, because they're trying to block this Discover deal from going through. And if they're able to do that, well, then guess what? I don't live in your district, so I'll never vote for you. But definitely would help me out a little bit, because I think that they are definitely going to be more problematic and give Jerome Powell some pretty good questioning this week. He's not the most pleasant amongst questions that he thinks are stupid. I think he definitely does give some good sass back, but I do think that it's going to move the markets a little bit. Question is though, is it going to move the market as much as people think? Right? I think a lot of people might buy into a market if Jerome Powell kind of talks softly, or says that maybe we're going to get to a place where we achieve our goal. Maybe it's not this month, maybe it's not next month, maybe it's in a few months from now. and then just talks about the state of also banking, because the banking sector, that those questions are going to come up, especially with the bank term funding program ending next week. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation, I think, that he has with Congress. I'm pretty excited to see what comes from that. Also, watching
Evan,
the data this week.
Listen, I get your perspective on things, but the fact that you're now on the same page with Warren, testing waters, I feel like I don't know you anymore, and it's a little bit disconcerting.
Let's put it this way: I would never, if they were against the Discover deal, then I wouldn't care. Obviously, I'm just being tongue in cheek here. The fact that they're on my side, nothing makes sense in this market right now, right? Peter Schiff and I are like this, even though we disagree on gold.
That idiot. That guy's an idiot.
Hey man, gold is running right now. Gold's running.
His perspective on things and some of his tweets coping about the price of Bitcoin have been absolutely comedy. And I can't tell if he's just I can't tell if he's really this brain damaged or if this is just a bit at this point. Like, I can't tell, because the stuff he says, I'm just like, any person with half a brain and who has been involved in markets for any amount of time like he has would realize that it's pure idiocy what he's saying.
Yeah. 100%. And here's the thing. I like Peter Schiff because back in 2008, he was one of the only people that was talking about what was going to happen. Looking at a guy like Dave Ramsey, who was telling you to buy the stock market at the top of the market in 2007, 2008, versus Peter Schiff, who was like, hey man, just so you know, there's going to be some headwinds, coming. Obviously it's a different time now. Bitcoin's a different asset class. He doesn't necessarily probably understand it as much as some of us do. I still think Bitcoin's going to be fine long-term, but I will give him some credit and knowing that gold will have its day. I just don't necessarily think I think his timing's way off. So it's just so funny that people I necessarily wouldn't agree with, I'm agreeing with all across the board on different issues. And I'm like, what the fuck is this world coming to?
Maybe you should look in the mirror then and realize that you're on the wrong side of this fight.
Sorry, every time I look in the mirror, it breaks.
Go bullish.
No, I can't, man.
Nah. I want to talk about crypto now, because that is all anyone's discussing. These green candles. I mean, ETH is up in the last 4 weeks alone. In the last month, ETH is now up 57%. No one's really talking about that.
Nope.
In that same amount of time, Bitcoin is up 58%. If you had bought Bitcoin in January, every time I looked at this, every time that Jim Cramer said it was feeling heavy or the top was coming in, or him and whatever fucking guy were talking about it and they said that it was due to fall, you'd be up like 50% right now. And I was doing that, which, I bought a little bit of Bitcoin in January, but it was only purely for the bit and for comedy to spite Jim Cramer. But you know what? It's up. So I'm happy about that.
Right on.
We have Bitcoin continuing to go. We have the ETF inflows continuing to pump. I want to bring up a little bit of a discussion here around potentially taking profit on Bitcoin and knowing who you're playing against right now, because crypto it's a very PvP world. Okay. Like you'll have your group. You'll have your group. You want to share your screen?
I can't wait, because you brought up a great point and I have something to go with it. So continue.
So it's a very PvP world here, okay? People are trying to get their W's. But we now add a new mix into it. You're no longer just, competing against the crypto trader who lives in their parents' basement or his leverage to the tits in their penthouse in Miami somewhere. You're going up against institutional investors. And one thing with institutional investors that you need to know is that they will take profits far sooner than your average crypto degenerate will, okay? People want their moon bag. People want to see their Bitcoin 2, 3, 4x. Institutional investors don't really care about that. They want to stay on top of what is going on and be in line or a little bit better than the other people they're competing against. And that means getting a 10 to 15, maybe 20% return. So it's great that this institutional money is coming in, but they are going to sell with size far quicker than retail would. So that's something I think people need to keep in mind. Like, all through last year, a lot of funds and a lot of big money managers were sidelined. They had their money in money market funds because they thought the markets were going to keep dumping and they wanted to earn 5%. Well, guess what? They didn't outplay the market. They got their asses kicked. They got their shit stuffed in. They had their clients calling them asking, why the fuck aren't we in NVIDIA right now? why is Meta going up 200% and I'm getting 5% on my money? So they saw Bitcoin and they see this ETF at the beginning of the year and money starts to flow in. Well, guess what? When they were getting in at 50K and now they see 67 and they can realize a 20, 25, maybe 30% gain and they're going to make their customers happy, they're going to fucking sell that and you are going to be left holding the bag. So one thing I will say, you don't have to take profits. Don't listen to me. It's not financial advice, but do not panic the fuck out if we start to see things come back down. Okay. Like this should be the long game. You should be set up. And I've said this time and again, and I'll say it for the 800th time, that you should be putting yourself in as many win-win situations as possible and being able to weather the storm and be excited when the price is going up or buy when the price is going down means that you can win in this long term. So that is just kind of where I'm at with crypto. Like so many people are getting excited and for good reason. I think a lot of people are still sidelined because they don't want to buy right now. There's like this paralysis by analysis. People are freaking out, but don't be shocked if we see things start to come back down because institutions are taking profit.
100%.
That's all. I'm done with my rant.
That was a perfect rant. I mean, that's 60 seconds of absolute truth right there. Look, I mean, even maybe a little bit longer than 60 seconds, but every second of it was amazing, J-Web. Thank you. Look at our boy right there. I mean, this is, a testament to what you just said. Coinbase blackout happened again today in the middle of a rally, right?
Yep.
And you can say that there's a lot of traffic, and I get that there is a lot of traffic, people jumping on, trying to buy Bitcoin, trying to pretty much run with the market. Thing is, if you can't buy and you can't sell, your money's just sitting on this exchange. And we saw that Grayscale is also dumping a ton of Bitcoin right now. I mean, the inflows for Grayscale is just like they're dropping tons of money. Yeah, not tons of money, tons of Bitcoin onto the exchanges. And obviously they're taking profit, right? You don't put the fucking money on the exchange so it looks pretty and you see, oh, I actually have, $300 billion just sitting in my Coinbase account. I can't wait to see it goes up another 50% because Doge is up 27% today, right? It's not how it's going to be. The fact that this is happening, and the reason it's really interesting with Coinbase is because Coinbase is the most solvent of all the exchanges. I don't care what anyone says. You don't see people putting their money on the Binance to fucking sell, right? You see Binance, if anything, the price going up, and you're seeing a lot of Tether going into the exchange. You're not seeing that happen with Coinbase. So seeing this kind of freeze happen again, man, you wouldn't see this in a bull market. That's all I will say. And again, I know that Bitcoin isn't bull market technically, right? It shot up an insane amount. I'm not going to fight this one bit. I missed the rally. I don't care though at the same time because I don't necessarily know how to play this up here because this is very dangerous in my opinion. And I think a lot of people who are considering jumping in, FOMOing in, I think you just need to take a step back and realize that the last time we were up here, a lot of resistance, right? Could we go to all-time highs? I think it's kind of likely we're going to go to all-time highs here. I'm not going to fight that.
We're going to all-time highs, baby.
I know it's $1,000 away. It's not. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. The thing is, you have to be careful because everything else is just screaming, hey, Torcon 5 pretty much at this point, or DEFCON 5, I don't know, tornado, detonation, something's happening. But if we look at the crypto funding rates, this is like the 7th or 8th day that it's been like this, just absolutely red, right? And the thing is, the futures price is higher than the spot price. So a lot of people are expecting this thing to continue to move up. Shorts are getting annihilated. $94 million worth of shorts of Bitcoin earlier this morning as the price moved up to 67K. I'm sure it's way more now. And that was just Bitcoin alone. This is a very dangerous place. I mean, look at this. Even did they remove? BNB is even people are longing the fuck out of BNB at this point. That's how you know it's max stupidity up here. I just want people to realize that this means that everyone is going max long. And if we look at the year, like I said, about 11% annualized is the average rate for Bitcoin and some of these other coins. Today, for the 1 year, we're at 66, almost 67%. We were at 108, I believe, on Friday. We're getting into the mania phase. And I say this with, full honesty. You kind of have to let this mania play out. This is why I think that, I closed my shorts with Binance last year because sometimes you can't beat a rigged game. And some of these exchanges, some of these players in the space, you're going up with a lot more money and they have control over what the price says and does, right? So I think that you have to be careful if you're going to try and short this shit. I don't recommend shorting anything right now. I think if anything, cash is king. That's not financial advice. That's just my opinion. But looking at the liquidation levels, I mean, guys, this is so bad. I mean, if we go all the way up to, say, 74K, which is, I don't know, where are we right now? 67, so 74, about $7,000 or so. That's $1 billion worth of liquidations we see for Bitcoin. If we go all the way down to 59K, we're looking at about 4.63. But if we look at this on the longer term time frame, we're looking at just 7.59 billion down to 54,000 if we push down there. There's not a lot of liquidity that we're pushing up here. We've built so much liquidity to the downside that if the price starts to go, everyone's getting liquidated. I'm sorry. I'm not saying everyone's getting liquidated instantly, but I'm saying that, well, I'll bring this right here. Chris brought this up in a conversation me and him had today, and he mentioned how there's a difference between the equity market and crypto right now. There is no breaks for crypto, right? Crypto trades 24/7. There's no one there to stop the markets from trading. If that shit goes, there is no breaks on the way down. And that's one of the greatest things that I've heard, because it's so true. And the equity market might even realize that come these, limit down gaps in the morning. And again,
I've been reading stories about like money managers in like Australia and Asia who are like sleeping at the office. They can't go to bed because when the US wakes up and crypto gets going, like they're just, the Adderall prescriptions and the amount of cocaine these guys are probably doing right now is going to make Miami in the 80s fucking blush.
Dude, it is so bad right now because everyone is terrified because everything's at the fucking top. And again, the reason I say this is the mania top is because what happens next week? The banks have no access to the bank term funding program. We also know that the reverse repo, which I'm going to pull up right now just so we can talk about that. The reverse repo drained, again, another $1 billion today. But right now, in the past few days, the reverse repo has drained over $100 billion. No one's talking about that one bit. That's access to liquidity in the system. Look at this on the daily. On Friday, it dropped 12%. The day before it was 11%. And the day before that, we're at 570 billion. Today we're at $439 billion. So this thing is coming down 100%. If we go on the weekly, this is even more interesting. You can see how much it's come down. And also, you see what that is. I'm not even going to zoom in because I'm just going to tell you what it is right now.
Boom.
Liquidity is going out of the system, guys. I'm sorry to say that. And that's why it's so easy to be a fucking bear. But it's also dangerous to be playing this game right now. I think, if anything, I want to just let this mania play out. Watch what happens. I mean, we do know what happened on Friday, right? With New York Community Bank. It dropped significantly.
Ooh,
I mean, if we look at it today, I mean, it's down 18% again today. Right? It continues going down. I was actually going to open up a put on
this. That's some Squid Games token chart right there. Jesus.
I was going to open a put on this. However, the dangerous thing about this thing right now is that you don't know what it's going to do because there could be a squeeze at the bottom. We've seen a lot of these shit stocks absolutely squeeze for no reason. Beyond Meat, right? There's a lot of them that are just going mania right now, and they're zombie firms. I mean, look at Doge. I mean, I'm not saying Doge is useless, but right now Doge is kicking ass across the board. You can't justify a lot of what's going on right now.
Do not. Okay, Kevin is the only one who's saying bad things about Doge right now. If you are part of the Doge army and see this, I am not saying anything negative about Doge. It's all Kevin. I'm going to throw him under the bus.
Did Elon say anything?
Sustainable. Nope. And that's the thing. Elon hasn't even said anything yet, and it's already doing this. So watch the fuck out, man. All-time highs.
Yeah, I'll watch my mouth. It's like that Kermit meme. Watch your mouth.
I love that meme. Mouth with me.
Yeah, dirty
showing up to work on Monday with cryptos pumping.
Yeah, I mean, we're really setting ourselves up for some disappointment, I think, across the board when we look at how mania things are. But don't fight it. I say that being the biggest bear on planet Earth, right? Across the board, I'm looking also at some other things that are happening in the system. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple broke below the 200 EMA. I fucked up and closed my short early because I thought that we were going to see manipulation because that 200 EMA was holding extremely strong. We broke significantly below it. So what this tells me is a lot of people are offloading Apple. We dropped below it by, what are we down today? 2.42%. Dropped like $5, I think, below. It went, what's funny? It went straight to the level. That horizontal line right there was where I was going to take profit. It bounced right off of it. And I was like, I suck. I suck at trading in this bear market right now. But yeah, I mean, looking at this right here, this is a big drop for the, the top 7. Look at Tesla today. We were talking about Tesla breaking from this, found resistance up here. Well, it finally is starting to break. It looks like. I think we are going to test that 168 that we were, trading out back here in right around February when it dropped down to was it 176? Yeah, I guess it was 176. It dropped to with the earnings call. And now we look at Google. Google's also taking a pretty big shit right now. It's holding on that 200 EMA. If it goes below that, it's no different than what's happening with Tesla and Apple. Meanwhile, NVIDIA is just rallying up straight up nonstop. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, all those are red today, which is really funny. I think that might change, but NVIDIA is pretty much holding up this market right now. The S&P is up 9 points today. It's like a super microcomputer because people didn't listen to me last time and they continue to keep buying up here. It's up 24% today because they are going to be joining the S&P. They're taking away Zion's Bank come, I think, March 18th or something like that, which is funny because they don't want the banks in the S&P, but at the same time, they do understand that this is probably more problematic if this AI bubble that we're talking about, because leverage is pulled out of the system burst. This is probably going to help the S&P tank a little bit faster, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think that it's going to make that much of a difference between that or a bank. It's just optics at this point. We're in a really funny place across the board right now. I am not convinced of anything. I also think that this is really funny too. We're seeing gold rally significantly. It's up $33 today. It's been up a lot recently. Let me remove this right here. This is, again, a wild pattern. It's hard to justify what's going on here, but I do think that people are front running the fact that we're probably going to see gold rip. They do this every time. We also saw that Nancy Pelosi, apparently, I don't know if this is rumored or not, she opened up gold puts. But if she did, I completely agree with Nancy Pelosi on that too, which is, again, I'm finding myself agreeing with a lot of weird things in this bear market, especially right here.
After this, go look at yourself in the fucking mirror and ask if you feel good about the people that you're friends with now, Kevin.
I'm guilty by association. Oh, man. But my mom was right. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
your
so
mother
this is really
a wonderful woman, and she would be disappointed in you right now if she knew that who you were siding with. Can't
you're
believe
making
this.
You're making this sound like I'm just hanging out with the kids in kindergarten that were just like smoking a pack of Newports or something. I'm definitely
kids
not.
in kindergarten smoking Newports? That's
No,
terrifying. I gotta like it.
no. But you know how it is. I don't want you hanging out with those kids. They're bad influence. What are they doing?
Bad influence. Nancy's a bad influence on you, Kevin, and so is Maxine.
That one.
I'm just letting everyone know who watches this show on the regular that we're going to go off the fucking rails like in the months ahead, because I feel like things were so boring for so long that no matter what direction we get, it's going to get weird on here. So strap the fuck in.
100%. And again, I'm bearish on gold. I'm bearish on gold because I think that this is front running uncertainty. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. People are looking for value. Could this push up a little bit higher? Sure, 100%. I'm not opposed to that. However, I do think that gold is going to have a significant pullback lined up with the dollar rallying while equities kind of pull back. That's kind of my base case for what's going on here. There's another thing that we got to talk about today too. The Nikkei went above 40,000 last night and it shot up significantly. It was up 200 points. Things are just getting really weird. We know that they're probably going to be raising interest rates for the first time in a long time in the month of March. They've been kind of hinting at it. Inflation's getting out of hand. Obviously, the equity market's shooting up like as it is. And the fact that the yen is rallying and the dollar is staying pretty strong compared to it, it's a really tough place for them because now their dollar is being devalued, but at the same time, it's like their equity market keeps going up. And they're also fighting the same thing as a recession that a lot of other world economies are facing. So it's a very difficult place, and it's a very similar place that they've been before. I mean, the last time that they were there was literally 1989 when they raised rates and the market absolutely topped off. So with everything that's happening across the board, I think we just need to kind of put into perspective that the monetary system and the debt markets rule over everything that you're seeing right now, over whatever CNBC is saying, whatever Bloomberg is saying. Everyone will talk you up and make you feel like the smartest motherfucker in the world because you're buying into the stocks that they're telling you to buy. But no one will tell you how the debt market works. No one will tell you that there is an absolute collateral shortage, that the U.S. Treasury market is getting annihilated when it comes to the tail end of some of these Treasury auctions, right? At some point, the U.S. is going to need that money. It's going to have to come from somewhere. They let the bank term funding program go. To me, it seems like the perfect opportunity for there to be a treasury squeeze and the equities to pull back while gold also pulls back. Now, how does that affect everything else? Well, we see New York Community Bank absolutely tumbling. Is this the first one to go? of many that are, lined up that have just bad exposure, I don't think the JP Morgans are going to be able to bail them out. They have their own problems at this point, right? I think Bank of America has gotten a shitload of unrealized losses on their sheets. We're seeing layoffs from Wells Fargo coming later this week as well, another bank that also has exposure to FHLB and the Bank Term Funding Program. We're in a very dangerous place where everyone's got their own problems, so we're not going to help you with yours. I think that's kind of the fucked up mentality about it. And then we're just also dealing with layoffs. They're starting to pick up, and we're going to get that data later this week. But Joann Fabrics filing for bankruptcy. I think it's 21,000 jobs that they have. Who else? Santander is laying off 300 jobs or something like that. Here, another one. Some tech companies laying off 2,000 announced today. I think so far in the month of March, we have over 8,000 or 9,000 jobs that have already been announced for layoffs. Last month, it was 76, I believe, and that was a shortened month. So things are picking up. You just have to kind of remember that when the leverage goes, so does everything else. No one's going to buy in once the leverage is gone because it's like this Ponzi doesn't work anymore. So that goes for the S&P, the indexes, crypto, everything like that. Just let it happen. Just kind of trust the debt market is going to do its thing. That's kind of my rationale for how everything is operating right now because nothing makes sense outside of that.
All right. That is going to be how we wrap it up for today. I appreciate everybody for joining us. It was a fun one. There'll be plenty of rants moving forward, lots of shenanigans, but we will be here with you through thick and thin, good times and bad. Bitcoin is 67.4. Maybe by tomorrow's show, we'll be at a new all-time high. It's possible, Kev.
It's very possible. I'm not going to fight it.
So there we go. Appreciate everybody for watching. If you've not yet, like, subscribe, comment, share us out on socials if you found any of this informative, from that side of things, or maybe entertaining. I don't know. But we'll be back tomorrow.
That's it.
For that side. Appreciate you
pointing
all
at the
very
mailman.
much. Love you guys. Have an awesome day.
Take care, everyone. Have a good one.